Fear 2 is probably one of the best sequels in a very long time. Now, I know some people give it crap, especially the third game, which, look, in terms of first-person shooting, in terms of what this is very positive. This is a very good game. I get the hate, but it's honestly, if you compare it to the first game, it still has the heart, the soul, and the love of the series, and it does a great way of expanding and evolving it to what we got with 2 and what 3 kind of brought to the table in terms of what it did. So, Fear 2, you play as Beckett, let's be honest here, kind of not well done character really. Like, he doesn't get a voice until the third game, and even then he's a bit like, oh, okay, that's what you've done with the character. Great. He's not a bad character. He's just no voice. He's you. He's you, the player. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is a bit annoying at times because he doesn't have much of a personality. However, his squad mates do, and they are amazing. His squad mates are the sort of people that you're like, I hope you survive, I hope you survive, and I hope you survive, because they have a personality, they have a function, and they are fun, they are good characters for the most part. First of all, Stokes is great because she's voiced by Jen Taylor, who is by far one of the best voice actors in gaming, and it's just great to have her along because it's Jen Taylor, it's Cortana, it's Princess Peach, you know, fantastic stuff, and she swears her ass off in this, and she's kind of a badass, and I'm like, damn, she's a good character in this. And then there's some other characters as well, and like by the end of the game you're like, holy crap, how did we survive that with these guys? It's actually really good. And now, while yes, the overall story is quite easy, it's still an adventure. You are still a character from A going to B, but it's still an adventure like the first Fear was. You're going through so many great levels, from destroyed industrial complexes to a really good level set in a school, which I love. There's a lot of great horror elements and pretty much crazy explosions with the clones, you know, Attack of the Clones sort of deal. And you get a mech, which is great. You get to fight the mechs, you get to go in the mechs, and this is mech combat 101. This is mech combat amazing. Games need more mechs. You know how before we talked about the shotgun, which we will, but this is where mechs started coming into the picture, and mechs are amazing. I mean, one, you're in a giant suit of awesome armor tearing the world around you down, and this does it in spades. This is probably one of the best mechs you'll ever see in gaming, because Fear 2 brings it to boil. Holy crap, is it good. You get to be in a mech, right? So it's like, oh yeah, cool, you're in a mech, cool, you get to mow people down, and you're like, oh yeah, that'll be fun. And then you do it, and the game just clicks. The destruction, the gore, the insanity, the over-the-topness of it, the actionness, just everything about it. It's like the first game, The Matrix, John Woo films, all over Hong Kong cinema, all in one, but with mechs. It's beautiful, very anime inspired, obviously, and it's so good. I swear, we need more games with mechs. That's why Titanfall 2 was so good, because it was a game with mechs. You go into a giant mech, you do whatever the hell you want, you get out the mech, you kill everyone, and this is what you can do here. You'll have moments in the story where you get a mech, right? And what's great is you can get out and you can explore the world, and you can actually go to the next level if you wanted to, but I highly recommend going into the mech because you will fight other mechs. You can go in and out of the mech whenever you want. It's fantastic, it's so well done, and to just get those machine guns and people explode like Rambo. The end of the Rambo scene, they just explode into a violent putty of raining blood. Oh, we need more mechs in video games. I swear to the gods, please, please give us more mechs where we can basically go Rambo and rain blood upon everyone, because it is, it's good shit. It is good shit. It is a great cleanser of anger and bad life choices, or bad choices in life, or bad life environments, whatever have you. Mechs make life so much better, 100%, which is probably why I'm really excited for the new Doom game, just saying. So we got that, and what's great is you also want to explore these levels. Why? So just like the first game, you get the injectors for your health and your stamina, which makes slow motion last longer. They're really well hidden. Sometimes they're pretty hidden ways that are easy, sometimes they're not, and then when you go around looking around for them, you can actually find little tidbits of like PDAs and stuff, which you read, which is, some say a step back, but also good because you don't have to just wait around and listen to somebody talk. So it's an if and at sort of deal. Good stuff though, and it makes you want to explore, because when you explore, you can find weapon caches, you can find ammo, you can find armor and grenades. Like, they really did a really good job and really kept that vibe and love of the level design in the first Fear. So they keep that journey. They have the levels just open enough that they feel fun and evolving and feel like, yeah, okay, it may not be the biggest difference in a level design. So for example, there is a level design where they have snipers, right? And there's a moment where a door gets shot open and you can go through that door, killing everybody and go down and around, right? Or you can jump over and go around in the back way. It's not much of a deviation, but it does bring enough that it kind of feels nice. Like, levels here are open enough that there is small variations with how you can play. And the good thing is, though, is that the AI, while not as good as the original Fear, still does a really good job, and they still make a really good gameplay flow where it feels like you're kicking ass and taking names. And this is one of the best things about it. You feel like an action hero. You feel like a martial artist. You feel like the one. And when you get that perfect shotgun, and there are 2 good shotguns in this, and the best part about it is you get that shotgun from the get-go. First level onwards. And they have a good machine gun, they have a good railgun sort of deal, they have a good splatter gun, the ones like the laser splatter gun sort of deal. They have a really good variety of weapons, flamethrowers, snipers, you name it. Kind of a BFG type weapon too, which I thought was really fun. They have so many great weapons that you're just going to go balls to the wall crazy with them, and the best thing about it is you can hold 4 weapons at once. 4 weapons with grenades and trip mines and stuff. It does a really good job, because you only do you keep the fun and enjoyment of the way you move from the first game, but you've explored, you've opened it up. They didn't take anything away from the player, they gave you more. They did streamline certain things, but they did it in a way that made sense and it worked all out. They did a fantastic job with this, and my only downside with the gameplay is that, unfortunately, the main character Beckett, and I get it, he's different from Point Man, and Point Man in the third game, as you play him in the third game, definitely feels more akin to Point Man in the first game, but as Beckett, the character that you play, it just feels like they did kind of codify it to an extent where he's tanky, but it feels like to get a good kill you need to always aim down sights. So in Fear 1, Fear Files, and even Fear 3, you didn't even have to like aim down your sight. And even Fear 1 and Fear Files, you didn't have that. They just zoomed in a bit, but it didn't have like the aim down the sights. With Fear 2, it feels like they kind of really process that you've got to kind of aim down the sights a lot more. Like, you can shoot without it, but there's a lot of spray sort of going on, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but for me, I kind of liked how the flow went, because yes, when you aim down the sights, sometimes it does stop the flow of the gameplay, but when you're really going for it, and granted, if you have a shotgun like before, and there is some great shotguns, you can kind of get a good vibe going, and even with the sniper, you can get some good kills if you get right up to it, but then you can also die. So there is a good in and out between, but it felt like they kind of just pulled back a bit on the gameplay of being a bit more tanky, where you feel more of a tank, not Resident Evil style tank, but more Killzone-esque style of being a tank, and the ability that you've got to aim more down sights, which kind of, again, it depends. Still love the game, and the gameplay still works well. You still got medkits and stuff, but sometimes it feels like you've really got to like stand back and take cover, which is fine, because you've still got slow-mo and you still have a new ability where you can push things over and move them out the way to duck behind them as cover. So yes, you have the cover, but then they took out the ability to lean, which I'm like, well, why did you do that? Like, if you're giving me all this cover, at least give me the ability to lean, which to me makes more sense. So yeah, okay, it's a bit weird. I know some people will be like, oh, it doesn't matter, but for me, it kind of was just a bit strange at the time. But overall, Fear 2 was fantastic. From the soul, it takes the soul from the original and it evolves it. Good level designs, fantastic levels. The school being one of my favorites. You can go on a great train level, you've got a great underground level, you've got so many great levels that they've kind of embossed into this story and into this game that it's always fun to play. The AI, while not as good as the original, is pretty spot on and pretty good in general, and it is fun and it's different each time for the most part. You get awesome mechs, which obviously we love. You get great gameplay, still works pretty well. The gore and detail in this game is fantastic, and the graphics obviously looked amazing. At the time, in 2009, when I first played this, I was blown away by how good it looked, and it still looks good to this day. Because remember, you can play this on PlayStation, you can play this on Xbox, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PC. You can play these games on some great consoles, and it still works to this day, and I highly recommend it, because as an overall package, Fear 2 is solid, absolutely solid. And yeah, okay, the story isn't the best. It does open up interestingly, even though I think Fear 3 had the better story. It does have some interesting characters with your squad, but overall, it is a good story that gets you to A to B. You are a great line of direction of you going through this journey. There's some good scares, there are some good revelations, there are some interesting tidbits of information as well, but I think it kind of evolved more with 3, and it kind of opened up for a good, fantastic story in 3, but gameplay-wise and even level design-wise and stuff, I think 2 is very, very good. And yeah, overall it is fantastic. And one thing that they did that I really liked is that if you go through the entire game and find all the collectibles for health and ammo and all that, you can go back and level select from the beginning and you have that. So in this gameplay you'll see them in the first level, but I've got a full bar of slow-mo because I went through the game and found all the upgrades and stuff, which is really cool. And while yes, it can be a bit let down in a way because you've got to kind of like explore, it also helped out because it did a really good job. So yeah, Fear 2, Project Origin is solid. It is a fantastic sequel that I highly recommend, and if nothing is going to save you on that, you get some great shotguns, some great guns, and you get mechs. If there's anything to sell a game, it's the fact that you've got mechs, so just go out there, pick it up, and go crazy. Become Rambo, because you're a Rambo with slow-mo, and that is the best thing in the world, and that is exactly what we need from more video games and more FPSs in general. So this is Aussie Viking out. I shall see you in Valhalla. Let's get into those damn mechs and cause a ruckus. Bye.